Hi everyone, this is Corey from Aquarium Co-op. I got the co-star, Lamont.
Hello.
And today is episode number 3 of Real Fish Talk.
Yeah, maybe there's a topic of... Because I think people, and this is nothing against the population, but I think most people that are your average, aquarist or aquarium enthusiast, they go to the box stores looking for stuff, and there's such a limited selection. And I think a lot of people just don't realize how much other stuff is actually out there, and how much of that stuff would actually work better than what's being offered. And I think, what's being offered is based on survivability versus actual something enjoyable to keep in your tank. But
yeah, fish-wise, if you're going to a box store, as we'll call it, which might be, maybe I should name names. Who knows? I'm not going to get in trouble for that. But let's say it's a big pet store, not independently owned. It's much more beneficial to them to bring in a bunch of Oscars that can survive horrible treatment, and they can sell to someone, and when it goes to their tank, it will thrive because it's going to a better environment than to bring in wild-caught angelfish that, sometimes we import angels, the die-off rate is 20% before we've even opened the box, and so if you don't give it, if you don't give it a better environment, it's just going to die off. And so, we deal with a lot of people that they come in and they just go, I've never even seen half these fish. And it's, well, if you go to a big box store, they're mostly going to have the same thing. Assorted Africans, some different South Americans and Central Americans. Then they're going to have your average tetras and stuff like that. But typically, and we've heard this before, like, I have to custom order or special order a cardinal tetras. And that's because they can't keep them alive at the store. And so you got to pick them up right when they come in, but they can keep a black skirt tetra alive, or a black neon, or tiger barbs, that type of thing. Things that I would call bulletproof, where, to kill some of those things, stuff really has to be going wrong. And, that just goes into their model of, if they can sell you a fish that's already sick, and you buy the medicine to fix it, they make way more money than if they sell you a healthy fish from the get-go, because they don't get the add-on sale. So, most people, a lot of people say, well, saltwater is so much cooler than freshwater. The reality is not many box stores do that much saltwater, and so people, when they see a saltwater tank, are seeing amazing animals and stuff taken care of with lots of money, versus your average person's fish tank that might be a few glowfish and an angel and an Oscar all thrown in the same tank, and they're always having problems and illness and stuff like that, and they don't see that as glamorous, because it's not. It's kind of like owning, a 1985 Honda Accord that breaks down every minute. It's not exactly, no one's driving by on the side of the road going, oh man, wish I had that. That being said, when you see that Ferrari on the freeway or something, you do lust after that, and lots of money was spent, and it's rare, that type of thing. And so, definitely visit some independent stores, or at least other box stores, see what's out there. Do research, but and the same goes for dry goods too. It's not just fish, a box store, and we're approached the same way. A manufacturer will come in and they'll literally say, well, if you carry this product, I will literally give you 2 for every one you buy. I literally, and we'll give one to every employee, and that's they walk in and going, here, take all this stuff, go home and try it, and here's the deal, buy 1, get 5 free. If you take on the whole line, we're going to give you so much for free. The problem is when you try, it's just garbage. But what they want is, they try and sell you on, well, when it breaks, you get to sell them another one. And that's literally a sales pitch of, well, it tends to break in like a year, and then you get to sell them another one. So you're getting extra sales, and it's a predatory practice that lots of companies are doing. And I've seen it. I've been in the industry long enough to see products that were perfect and have now been ruined. In my opinion, Eheim made the perfect heater, and everyone that's been around for a while knows the heaters that were all green would run for like 20 years without a hitch, and they literally were running into troubles where they weren't making enough money. They made a heater that didn't break, and they were known to make heaters. And so if you have a fish tank and your heater never breaks, that's a one-time sale. And same problem happened with Tetra. Tetra was making these hang-on back filters where the impeller lasted, the motor lasted, and yeah, there was replaceable cartridges, but the actual unit itself would never break, so they conveniently discontinued it, and there was such a backlash from the people that had been using them, they brought it back, but they brought it in the worst packaging you can find, which hopefully I'll find a picture of that. And they've called it the legacy filter, so they make it sound horrible so that you won't buy it. Because they want you to buy the new one, the Tetra Power filter, or whatever the flavor of the year is. And everyone's experienced this. They buy a filter and they get, they're using it, and pretty soon, you were buying the 12-pack, and pretty soon, like, oh yeah, my store's only carrying the 6-pack now, and then pretty soon it's a 3-pack, and then it's a 1-pack, and you're going broke. And then conveniently, you see the next filter sitting right there by the same company, and it'll go, it'll say like, oh, this filter's $30. Oh, and they're selling 12-packs. Well, I better make the switch. And that's what they're counting on you to do that. They're counting on you to go, all right, I'm spending $20 a week on filters. I can spend $30 over here and switch, and that's the new game they're playing. There are some companies that aren't doing that with all their products, and I would say every company is doing it with some. Like AquaClear, they still have the original AquaClear filter. There's not even really cartridges for it. Still the same design. That being said, it's a $60 to $100 filter where, there's some of our competitors, the store actually, that will give you a filter. If you walk in and you bring them any filter you have and you hand it to them, they'll hand you another power filter that they are selling the cartridges for a lot. And it literally, I'll give you a filter if you buy $10 cartridges every week, because I make $1 million that way. So, there are lots of products out there, and the hardest part is sorting through which ones are good. Same thing with fish, and with fish at least, it's what you like. With equipment, it's what works well. You might like the way something's designed, but if it breaks every 10 minutes, that doesn't exactly work either. So, yeah, there's definitely lots of stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean, not to sound like a conspiracy nut, but it's almost like it's designed to fail.
They do design things to fail.
Just...
Now when a rep comes in and talks to you, they'll literally say, we expect this to fail in this amount of time, and they talk to you like it's a good thing. So you can expect to sell this again to them in 3 years. Where it used to be, we have a great reputation for a product that lasts forever. They realize that the everlasting Godstopper puts them out of business. You only ever need to buy one. And so now it is the opposite of that. So, yeah.
It's that old growth plastic, I tell you.
That's right. If you can get that old growth plastic, the rings on that plastic are so tight that it stays together forever, But yeah, that's... at the shop, we don't even sell cartridge filters, really. There's a couple filters, some nano things that use it, but, in general, we're killing the environment as it is, so throwing pieces of plastic away with those cartridges, we're not really into that anyway, but in general, most of those are bad, and so a sponge filter like we both like to use, or an AquaClear that uses sponges inside with a motor, or a canister with bio rings, or any of those reusable things are just better anyway for filtration. But yeah, and like even in the fish room at the store and in my home fish room, I heat the entire room so I don't have to rely on heaters going bad or anything like that. And it's one of those things. It's like cars right now. We know we can make a car that drives 100 miles to a gallon, all electricity, all that kind of stuff, but business is keeping that from happening. And it's the same thing. We have the technology to make an aquarium heater that will basically never fail and will warn you before it's gonna fail and serviceable and all that kind of stuff. And yet, if they put that product out, they're basically putting themselves out of business. And so collectively, they're not putting a product like that out. And yeah, there's a barrier of, well, that aquarium heater might cost $400 and no one's going to pay that. Sometimes that is the case, but as time goes on, price barriers come down, and that's no longer an issue. That being said, that's not even available. So someone that wants to spend $400 can't even buy that heater, because there's lots of high-end fish keepers or just people that value their pets that would pay it, and it's not even available. So, and I would say right now, for aquarium heaters, more are unreliable than ever, I feel like. Everyone claims to have the best heater out there, but Things that were working well for a long time, like for instance the Marineland Stealth, the black heater, great reputation, lasted a long time. And then everyone, if you were in the hobby for the last 5 years, so you remember that there was a big recall on them because what they had done is they switched manufacturers. They go, well, we're making a great heater, but this factory over here will make it for 30 cents less. And so they switch, everything seems to be going fine, and then literally people's tanks are exploding. They're literally, it would melt the plastic, electricity would hit, and it would blow panels out. And it got so bad that they issued a recall where you could literally take a heater, walk into any PetSmart or Petco or any store and hand it to them, and they would literally refund your money or give you a comparable heater on the spot, and then Marineland would actually reimburse the store. Jeez. And that's just because they want to save a little bit of money in production, even though there was no problems with the other factory. The other factory made a perfect heater, but in business, you're always trying to make things cheaper and things like that, cut costs, and that's just, another product that same way. Luckily, the product still exists, and even with the Marineland heater, Aqueon basically bought the rights to that manufacturer, and so the Aqueon Pros, as they're called, are the old Marineland heaters, and so they're bulletproof, they last a long time, they're still encased in the black plastic, they're great. The same thing went on with I'm trying to think, now it's the Cobalt power head, but it used to be the MaxiJet, like 1200, 900 and everything. They last forever, they're great power heads, and what happened was, let's see, so it would have been, I'm trying to remember who made MaxiJet. I think it was MaxiJet is who it was. It might have been under Marineland or something like that, but they outsourced, went to a different factory. Cobalt came in and bought up, the rights to have the old factory make it. And so now when you buy a Cobalt power head, yeah, they're like $40, just like the MaxiJets used to be, but they will last you 20 years. And then, so Cobalt, they have to, they don't own the rights to the name of it, so they have to call it an MJ 1200, whereas the Marineland or the MaxiJet or whatever it is now, there's still the MaxiJet 1200, and people that have been out of the hobby for a little bit, they come back and they want to buy a MaxiJet, and the actual MaxiJet's $20, and they're going, great, the price is great, it's half the price, and yet they'll burn out in 3 or 6 months or a year, and things that you could do with the other MaxiJet and really abuse it, use it in salt water, let it run dry for an hour because you forgot about it, all those things just kill the new ones. And so in the goal to make a better buck, unfortunately, we suffer for it, because if we're not in the know of who now owns the rights to use that factory, that's the problem. And lots of manufacturing anything in the world, it's pretty much all happening at the same plants. Car batteries are from like 2 manufacturers in the world basically. And the same thing for canister filters and whatever it is. You can see similarities between a Phoenix 360 and like the Tom filters or the ZoomEd filters. They're all built at the same factory for the most part. And then same thing with the Marineland 360 and then the Sun filters, which you can find on eBay, and then the AquaTops. They're all made at the same factory. Sometimes there's a little bit of build difference, slightly different plastics or something like that, but they're literally using the same molds and things like that. And, if you buy it under the Marineland name, it might be $250. You buy it under the AquaTop name, maybe it's $150, and the Sun, maybe it's $55, and, but they're all coming out of the same manufacturer, and sometimes you hit a sweet point, and, so being educated and learning from others will save you a lot of money. That's how, we test a lot of equipment, and that's how we find out what sucks and what's great. Or, I generally, we won't sell anything that we wouldn't use ourselves, and that's just because it's a huge headache when stuff starts coming back, and the manufacturers don't want to hear about it, even though they built it to be obsolete. They don't want to hear how it's breaking because they don't want to cover it. And they go, well, we're selling it to you at such a cheap price. You should be, we're giving you 2 free when you got in, and that type of thing. And it's a real pain. So, real talk there. Buy quality products that are going to last, even if it's under a different name. Do the research, and you can get products that are going to last you 20 years as opposed to things that are going to last you 20 months or less. So,
yeah, I mean, there's nothing more embarrassing than selling a product that, in good faith, you believe to be something good, and then it comes, a month or so down the line, you find out that no, this product is actually junk, and then essentially you got to try and convince them to try something else, and it's embarrassing, really.
Well, and sometimes we'll never know. We don't find out till we're getting lots of customer complaints on an item, and that's when we find out, oh, they switch manufacturers, and we just have lots coming back, and that's the feedback. And so even though the product was great for 5 years selling it, now it's a problem, and then we have to make the switch. And honestly, I'm kind of doing that right now with the Eheim heaters. Great reputation, been around a long time, but I've had more problems or returns, or at least customers at least perceive problems than I would like. People aren't enjoying the calibration process. They seem to be less accurate than they were 2 years ago, even though apparently nothing has changed. But that's what made us switch to the Aqueon Pros. And don't get me wrong, the Eheim heater is still a great heater, but it's got a high learning curve. People don't realize why it's got 2 dials, and they got to calibrate it. And it comes with a 3-year warranty, which is great. It's a very long warranty. There's lots of perks about it. We've had them reimburse anyone that's had problems with them. So if they can prove that they did have that stock in there and it did die from their heater, they will reimburse. So that's, they do offer great customer service, stuff like that. But, when you sell an Eheim heater and, 20 minutes later, every time this thing isn't working right, it gets, a little rough. And so that's why we're making the switch. And we have had, a couple of problems with them, but any product will have some problems. But when you add both those factors up, it's easier just to move to something that's easier for the public and takes less explanation. And, I'm excited to find out that the Aqueon Pros are made at the old Marineland Stealth Factory, which, to me it means, oh yes, one of the best heaters that was ever made is now available again. So I'm happy with that, because I can, I'm using that. Of the few heaters I am using in my fish room at home right now, the only one that's actually plugged in and running is an Aqueon Pro. So yeah, at least I'm using it, and half the reason is I want to make sure that it is getting the use and the time, and does work even for me before I'm selling it, even though it gets great reviews and other people are swearing by it. We do test products ourselves first. So yeah, that was a long rant on on products and
Back
fish.
in the good old days.
Yeah, back in my day, you used to be able to buy something that worked. But that's half the reason why we have such a small selection of products in comparison to other stores. Is most of the stuff we find just doesn't work very well, and that's people go, why don't you have like 5 different filters to choose from that hang on the back? Well, because I can't find 5 that I would actually like to sell. That's the problem. And even with heaters, I think we only have 2 different types, and that's basically a lower price point where people are willing to take more risk. It's not a huge amount more risk, but and then there's higher end ones where they come with a better warranty and things like that. But we try not to price people out, because in theory, if money was no object, we'd be running titanium heaters with temperature controller and things like that. So yeah. So thanks for listening to us rant for way too long, and if you're with us till this point, you might have actually enjoyed something. So if you did, go ahead and give us a like. If you thought about something that we might want to talk about, go ahead and put a comment down below and give us something to talk about, because we're running out of stuff. And if you actually enjoy and want to see more of this from time to time, go ahead and subscribe, and that way you won't miss any more of me yelling at Lamont.